This podcast is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. To learn more, visit listenfrederick.com.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 97 of Beers in the Lot. This week, we were watching Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Colorado Avalanche and Tampa Bay Lightning. So we talked a lot about how that series has been going and what Colorado might be doing in the offseason with a lot of free agents coming up on contract time. We also commented on the current NHL coaching carousel as John Tortorella gets hired by the Philadelphia Flyers. And then we learned that Johnny would have taken advantage of his first-class passenger status on the Titanic and saved himself. You know what time it is. Let's crack those beers.
I saw that, John.
I know.
Oh, no.
What did you see, Daniel?
I saw you popping that. What do you have there? Way too early.
Yeah, premature pop over here. I have a Modelo Especial cleaning out the fridge. So it was either that or like a Jack Daniels, one of those Lynchburg lemonades. But I don't go that hard on a Monday night. Daniel, what are you drinking?
So tonight I have a big tangerine scream from Treehouse Brewery. Went back up there, replenished my fridge. So I'm
Your
good
quarterly
to go.
sponsorship kicked in?
Yeah. I wish they would sponsor me.
Yeah.
God, that would be awesome.
I feel like you got a retention bonus because you hooked one of our fans on it now, too. It's like you get a retainer or something from them. I'm sure.
Should.
Yeah.
What do you got over there, Riggs?
So from our friends at Flying Dog, I have the new Powerhouse Imperial Pills.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty good.
I hear they added more hops.
I don't think this has more.
It would
hops.
actually be less hops. Less hops.
Well, different ones, but not
Yeah.
more.
Been drinking this stuff for years.
I saw it in the store this evening called Powerhouse, and I thought, a team that scores 7 goals and shuts out another team in a Game 2 of Stanley Cup Final is Powerhouse. So it seemed appropriate while we're watching Game 3 here.
God damn, this beer is good. Holy shit. This might be up there with one of my favorites again now. Like, oh my God. Holy shit.
I'm just happy, like Danny, that this Game 3 is watchable. Like Saturday night was like, that's not what I tune in for. That's what I tune in for the first round.
Oh, no. I tune in for that.
Yeah, I was happy with that result.
I was fine with it. I'm just like, man, what do you got to do? They looked so out of sorts. I've never seen a team that talented, that grizzled, just looked like a beer league team that was just lost. Like that's the only thing I could say to describe it.
I mean, it was a beer league score, 7-0. I mean, do you think do you think that game was because Tampa was making that many mistakes, or were they making mistakes because Colorado was all over them?
So I think like the first 2 goals, I don't think were necessarily mistakes. I think that was like Colorado's done a really good job in this series in general. We kind of talked about it last night. They're getting all up in Vasi's kitchen. And it's really difficult because pucks are hitting him. It's rebounds and it's stuffing tight. And Lando even got the goal tonight. He was practically on top of Vasilevsky.
I'm surprised Cooper didn't call the officials over to have a chat.
Yeah, but I think he kind of realized like he can't do anything at that point. But I'm more shocked because Tampa's defense over the course of the last couple of years, like they don't even allow guys to get close to Vasi. And Colorado's a little different. Like we've said it a few times, like they have some skill guys, but also those guys, like they're not afraid to get dirty.
Right.
So that kind of helps. Now, like, let's call it game 1, and currently in game 3, Tampa's skating with them, and they're making life a little more miserable for them. But like, Colorado's still getting to those areas. They're still doing stuff, to make sure Vasi's not just getting beat on his blocker side. Yeah, it's kind of shocking. Like, especially like Saturday, they just looked tired and like they looked weak. That's the only other thing that like stood out to me. Besides, like, they were just getting the bags beaten off them. Like I said, like they just looked weak, like not even in the same ballpark. It was very weird, very, very weird.
Yeah, and then they come out here at home, game 3, and they look pretty good. It's pretty even game, and they're actually up 2 goals right now. So I think we've talked about it a bunch. They have that mental strength that they built up over the last few years, going through the adversity to get to the Cup Finals and then actually winning twice in a row. They have all that. So
yeah, I think I forget who it was, whether it was you or Johnny, and said it looked like they were all like working through injuries. And a lot of those guys have played a lot of hockey over the last 3 years.
Oh my God. And that was my other thought. Like when I was watching the game Saturday night, man, these guys have been playing a lot of hockey the last 3 years. I wonder if it's all just catching up to them now.
Yeah.
The other thing too, that I felt like the body language was just all off. They look like a much stronger team in this game, obviously, in this game 3.
They look like they got a little of their bounce back too. Like kind of like that swagger. Like, it was just weird. Like, I mean, I think, like I said, game 3 that we're watching currently and game 1, I think that's a more true kind of like representation of the series. I'm not saying game 2 was a total fluke, but like, I don't think that was Tampa at like the height or even close to what it is. Colorado looked pretty damn good. I'm not taking anything away from them, but like, I don't expect them to score 7 every time on Vasi. I really don't. I just don't see that. The other thing I really liked out of Tampa, like, and you kind of saw it in years past when like stuff kind of gets a little sideways for them, they kind of start like, I wouldn't say gooning it up because that's not it, but like they're physical, they have a little jam, they start getting people's grills, and they were doing that. I love that. I'm like, this is like, even though when it was, I think it was 6-0 at that point, and it was like Killorn, Stammer, Cirelli, they were kind of like mixing it up, getting in people's faces. I'm like, good, this is what I want to see. And of course, I made the mention in Discord. I'm like, Fat Pat, who everyone goes like, oh, he's such a different maker. Tangibles. He was on the bench, like high on edibles and eating his hot Cheetos. Oh. Like, come on, man. But that's kind of my thing. Like, I'm like, all right, like Cirelli scored this evening. So, he was doing stuff in game 2, even though they're getting killed. And same with Stammer. And like, those guys don't necessarily need to be doing that. Corey Perry's doing it the entire time, which I kind of like. But like, he's a presence on the ice. Like Pat Maroon, I'm kind of sick of this media nonsense about him. Like, get out of here. I'm done with him. Like, come on.
I think maybe in that game 2, it was an off night for a lot of that team, top to bottom, right? And so there were flashes where certain players kind of stood up for the team or tried to put the team on their back or whatever, but that's not how it works, right? At this time of year, the whole team's got to be going, or a majority of the team's got to be going, and that's what Colorado's had since puck drop game 1, it looks like,
right?
But game 2, that result and the way things were going would have bode well for Danny's 5-game Avs win, the cup prediction. The way things are going now, it looks like it's going to be a long series.
Right. If Tampa can get both of these games.
Yeah.
But I think Avs get that, if they get game 4 in Tampa, I think they're going back and winning.
Yeah. I agree.
I really do. I mean, even yes, I picked Tampa in 7, so whatever. But like, I do honestly think there's no way in hell, like if Tampa holds and wins this game, I guarantee Bednar and the staff and a lot of the other players like really make sure they buckle down in game 4. Because I think if it gets 2-2, all playoffs, Tampa's just gotten stronger in every single game of the series until it builds, until they just essentially step on your throat. And it definitely in game 2 was like, oh, geez, this is going to be over in 3. But tonight you're like, man, all right, like I said, this is a better representation of what Tampa is. And if you look at kind of like the zone time tonight and kind of some of the other stuff, like they're holding pretty damn close to Colorado. What was you told me last night, Riggs, what were the percentage numbers for puck possession in game 2?
Basically, depending on what site you went to, and they all have their own like volunteer trackers and stuff that do the actual data entry. So they're all slightly different. But Colorado basically controlled the puck 75% of that game.
Oh, man.
Tampa was like never in that game. And actually, if you go back and look at game 1, the only periods that, and I say periods including the OT, that Tampa was actually in it from a puck possession standpoint was the second and, the minute and a half roughly of OT. The first and third periods, they didn't have the puck at all. Like Colorado just controlled it. My guess is just based off of the basic shot counter that's up that ESPN keeps throwing up tonight. It's going to be a lot more even coming out of this game 3, and the result shows it, right? And Johnny mentioned like Cirelli gets that goal. I understand the defensive situation coming back on that, but that is a weak ass goal for Kemper to let in at that time. If he's strong on his post and strong on his stick and his pad, like that can't go in. And I know he's probably anticipating Cirelli to come across the middle, but that's a shit goal, man. I'm sorry. And I don't favor goalies anyway, but like that was a shit goal.
Yeah, goalies suck. But the one thing that was interesting about the Cirelli goal though, that looked like the Tampa that I think Colorado is not ready for. Like when they get moving like that in the zone, like it's a different type of movement from like Edmonton or Colorado or even New York or even some of the other high flying teams. Like when they move the puck like that and the way they're just essentially setting screens in these really weird picks, no one does that but Tampa. They are very skilled. They know how to do it. So I kind of was like, after that goal, I was like, why doesn't Tampa try and do more zone entries like that? I understand it's not a perfect scenario. You can't, it's not like football where you reset every time. It's different. It's a moving chessboard, but like, you get some of those weird odd man rushes, 3-on-2s where like it's essentially a 2-on, 1 on one side and then, 1 and 2 in the other, however. But yeah.
But and they just scored again on a very similar entry. It's basically a compact like 2-on-1 at the blue line with an exchange down low. Like, and now we're going to get a goalie change because Kemper's garbage. And so
also, does he not wear, I said this on our private Discord. Does he not wear socks?
I've been trying since you said that. I've been trying to look and see, and
if he doesn't,
he just skated off because Bednar had enough of his shenanigans.
Bednar's gonna punch him in the gut, like just knock the wind out of him.
But my whole thing with Kemper too is like, with all things being equal, right? With possession being equal, which it probably is in this game when we look at the numbers tomorrow morning. If it's Vazzy versus Kemper, this is what we said before the series started. Like Vazzy wins that matchup, right? So
every time, yeah,
right. So if we're gonna play straight up and we're gonna go 50-50 on possession, 5v5, Vasilevsky's gonna beat you every time if you have Darcy Kemper. Again, I said it last night and the lot. I said it on here a couple episodes ago. Bona fide starter in the NHL, but he's not, if you're going to tier everybody ABC, he's not in the A tier.
How many goalies are in A? Would you really consider?
Not that many. It should be a bell curve, right?
I think there's literally like 5 that I can think of, right?
Yeah.
And I will say this, 2 of the guys in the conference finals were not in the A. So we'll just leave it at that.
Right.
So
Mike Smith and
Kemper.
Yeah.
Two of them played in the same series, unfortunately.
The other thing is, I think the NHL actually put out the infographic. They put out the infographic for Colorado's goalies. They have Francouz's numbers and they had Kemper's numbers. And Francouz's numbers are much better, especially in the high danger scoring areas.
See, I feel that's like that. I feel like that's such a fickle stat for goalies. Like, I feel like over a wide sample base, yes, it means something. But like, I feel like the playoffs and even series. I mean, I understand it's all small sample size and the playoffs, but I get what you're saying. Yeah,
if he's the guy and he helped you get through Edmonton with McDavid and Draisaitl
and St. Louis and Smashville,
right? Maybe, maybe he's the guy. I don't know. So, but he's in now because, they're down 3 goals in the second.
Kemper's not that guy, pal.
He's not that guy.
You're not that guy,
pal.
It would be interesting to see because Point's not playing. So maybe like I have a theory like Tampa plays better without Point now. He's expendable.
Ooh.
I know.
That's a big hot take.
I know. I'm kidding. But I'm kind of like,
well,
let's say
if he's really hurt though,
right? If he's an injured Point,
they're probably better off.
I think he's really hurt, and I think it would just be better like give the ice time to somebody, and we'll just like load up on like, we'll give a guy like Hagel and Nick Paul a little more ice time, stuff like that.
Right.
So the one thing that was kind of interesting, subtract the status of the current cup games. We were kind of talking about like, what's the sustainability for Colorado with so many dudes, either RFA or UFA? Do you think it's kind of like if we got Kale in the band, we'll be okay? Or do you think, hypothetically, do they need a goalie?
So they have Kale locked up for a while. I think like
Kale, Lando, Rantanen are all locked up. McKinnon's a restricted free agent. He's eligible this year to start his contract renegotiation.
So I also think that Sakic made some really good moves this season to kind of fill in holes where he needed to, right? The Manson deal, the Lehkonen deal, like all this kind of stuff. So I think they've established their core with the long-term contracts that they have. They're going to have to pay McKinnon. We talked about before that, does he take a hometown discount regardless of what happens in this cup final? I think he stays, and I think they pay him. I think they're fine. I think what they should do is, let some of those guys walk and maybe go find a goalie or go find another second pair defenseman or something like that, Well,
yeah, I know Natushkin, he's up. Kadri, I don't feel like Kadri, like he's an interesting conundrum because he's going to get paid.
I don't think they can pay him though.
I know Colorado can't, but like, would he be willing
to stay? And
also, what's that number? Because he put up 80 some points this year. So like,
what if they get him in for a higher AAV but less years?
Exactly, something like that. Like maybe, hey, we'll sign you for 3, but also too, like maybe Kadri's like, well, this is my one chance, so
right.
And I get it. Like I don't fault any of those guys because that's such a tricky proposition. Like anytime you like have to weigh that. Because championships are a big factor, and not saying when you get one, then you can kind of go chase that bag if you want to, but
a lot of guys do.
Yes.
Well, yeah,
a lot of guys get paid. They're like, "Hey, I was Stanley Cup champion last season. Yeah. What are you going to pay me?"
Yeah, exactly. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm all about it. But yeah, I'm kind of curious to see like what happens to this Colorado team. Joe seems like, I kind of made the joke, like Joe seems a lot like Yzerman. Like when they played, they were both sick, very good. And like good leaders, but like weren't the guys on their team that like kind of held the spotlight. They didn't want it. They just kind of like did their thing. And I feel as general managers, they do the same thing. Like everyone's tight-lipped. You don't hear shit. And it would be interesting to like see if they kind of can kind of like, hey man, like look what we're building here. We're like doing the right things to try and make sure this is a sustainable program moving forward.
So that's going to retain players, and it's also going to attract free agents, right? And players that have agents that might be shopping for trades. And so that goes a long way. And I think if you're successful like they are and you play the way that they do, I mean, we were talking about the two Johnsons last night, right? Like Eric Johnson's been there, for 12 years now or whatever it is since the St. Louis trade. And, Jack Johnson with managed minutes looks like a completely different player from the last few years. So, if that's going on, I think it attracts players to Colorado and then also to stay.
I don't care what anyone says. If Colorado wins, I'm happy for Jack Johnson. Good on him.
Absolutely.
He's had a rough couple of years with his parents being scumbags. And then he got ran out of Pittsburgh and they bought him out, which it is what it is. We're still on the hook. We're still on the hook another $1 million a year for what? Another like 3 or 4 seasons. And then New York, he was there last year, left early, but he ended up in Colorado and like he didn't play all the games this season. He didn't even play all the games this playoffs. But when he came in, like he's been great. So good on him. Manage minutes. And like I said, he kind of had a weird arc to his career, like mental toughness. That's the way I say it. Like I know it's cliche and all that, but like good on him. I'm happy for him. And same with Eric Johnson. I know Riggs was talking about last night. Like St. Louis gave him up for pennies on the dollar.
What a brutal deal. Oh my
yeah. Yeah. Like I was saying, like JJ's paired with Bo Byram, who like he's a kid. He's had a lot of like injury issues early on in his career. And I'm sure Jack Johnson can like kind of like,
yeah, he can help him.
Jack Johnson's been through a lot of shit. I mean, not injury wise, like, but that's still, it all factors in mental toughness. Like I'm sure he kind of helps him with a good positive attitude and stuff. That goes a long way. So, because like Colorado isn't laced with veterans. They have a lot of good players. Let's not get that wrong, but like veterans in terms that have been there, done that. Like they got Cogliano, who's good, serviceable, but like I think a guy like that could rub off on Bo.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Absolutely.
And especially because you got 3 really good young D. Like you got Bo, Kale, and Gerard, who unfortunately has a busted sternum, which is the most painful thing I can think of right now. Like, oh
yeah, that sounds brutal.
Danny, how do you feel about Torts getting hired in Philly, by the way? Since I like vaguely touched on it.
Oh my God, I need to get another beer for that.
How do you feel about it?
I'm ready to watch the dumpster fire.
You saw what Dubinsky did though, right? Do you see that?
Yeah, I did.
Prayers for the players in Philly.
Like I always want to bag on him, but I saw something with him. Like he's like really good, like away from the team and like off the ice. He's like a really good guy, which kind of sucks because it makes me like, can't really hate on him that much. But yeah, that's not going to be a good situation, I don't think. I mean, it never has, right? It's never worked out.
Long term, no.
Like he's had some success with coaching, but after a few seasons, it's kind of like the players kind of get tired of his shit and
yeah,
they start dropping like flies. What do you think about it?
So like the one knock on Tortorella since he left Tampa, he is very demanding of his goaltenders. So you're telling me Carter Hart, who like looked like he got the train back on the tracks this year, despite all the other shit in Philly, like he now has to deal with Torts.
Dude,
have fun.
They're rebuilding, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is that the coach you want for a rebuild?
No.
Nope.
I genuinely like Torts. I think he's a good coach. I think he has a decent mind. Subtract what he said, about Zegras. I know he was gonna. Yeah, I can't wait till he plays Anaheim. He's probably gonna get him to bury him. But like, what's he have to work with there? That team is gonna be so yeoman. It's gonna be insane.
But that's my point. Is he's not
a rebuild coach.
He's not a rebuild guy. I don't think he's. Maybe he's changed, but he never struck me as the guy that would develop players.
No.
So if you're rebuilding, you're bringing in young players, or you have young players already that you're trying to bring up. I don't think he's the guy. I think he's the guy that when, you're like those Columbus years where they were getting into playoffs and they were winning first rounds and getting to second rounds and getting bounced, right? Like he's that coach.
He had 200 some wins in Columbus, which I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean they weren't like
that. Columbus team worked very
bad.
hard for what they had. The pieces they had, They worked very hard.
But that's who he is, right? It's like, well, this is the group that we have, and this is the contract situations that we're in or whatever, and we need you to come in and like get us to the playoffs, and then we'll see what happens. Like,
do you think he's almost like a Boudreaux, like middle of the season, like bring him in, get structure, win some games?
No, Boudreaux. But see, Boudreaux's different.
Bounces, but they go opposite directions. Boudreaux goes all offense, Torts goes all D.
But I think it's even more like there's another level to that where if you gave Boudreaux young players like what he's had in a lot of different situations,
yeah,
he could find ways to put them in the situations that are best for those young players, and he could help them develop, and I don't think Torts is that guy. Torts can, like, if you have a established team and you're almost there making the playoffs or you're getting the first rounds, like he can get you to the playoffs or win that first round. Right. And then if magic happens, maybe you advance, but I don't think he's that guy in a rebuilding team that's going to help you develop your core.
He's not a player's coach.
Absolutely not.
But I think Boudreaux is more of a player's coach than anybody. I think the players respect him, and I think he helps a lot younger players. Like I don't know what kind of player is like perfect for Torts.
That's a great question.
Like who has been coached under Torts who like flourished?
That's a great question.
Got some research to do.
I think a lot of like grinders. Like I think Ryan Callahan, that's a guy that comes to mind. That's the only one that comes to mind.
Yeah, and he did well with him in New York. I mean that's a
Brassard. Brassard did really well.
That's another guy. Yeah, that's another guy.
And since then he's kind of bounced around.
Right. They need somebody who can develop young players. Like that's what they need, because they're in a rebuild. And I don't want to see Philly do well because I don't care about that team. I wish they would lose every game. But
Philly's, you know what? I hate saying this too. Like they're in a rebuild. Philly, for the way they operate every year since Fred Shiro left that organization, they just like are oblivious to everything. Like I almost see them going out, spending big money on free agents for no reason and going, we're all in, boys. This is it. And it's going to turn into a massive shit sandwich, and I'm going to love it. And we'll see what happens. I just like they had a guy I actually thought a few years ago, Dave Haxtell, who's now in Seattle. Like I thought he was a decent coach. Alan Vigneault, like meh. Like I'm just like, and then they had Mike Yeo. Like that guy's been recycled. Yeah, everyone they've had recently is recycled. There's a reason they're recycled.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on. Doesn't make any sense. I guess Pete DeBoer is going to Dallas.
Maybe they'll score some goals.
And Andrew Burnett has like his contract. He doesn't have a contract for next season.
Well, no, that's not true. It's an assistant coach contract.
They're interviewing Trotz and like all these guys down in Florida after he had he coached them. They're the best offense in the league. President's Trophy. Like, holy shit. And you're not going to give that dude a deal? Like, give him 2 years.
That kind of bugs me. That almost feels like something else happened. Like,
they're also,
I don't know, something's weird there.
All the shit on social media was that they're shopping Bobrovsky like hard.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Like, what are they doing down there?
I don't get it. Like, I understand maybe the Andrew Brunette thing. Like, maybe you're like, Quenneville did a lot. Brunette literally just like was like, hey guys, how you doing? Every day. And whatever. That's, I don't know. No one's in the locker room, so we'll never know really. But like, it's intriguing that it's this far into the offseason and they haven't just either removed the interim tag or hired somebody. The fact that they keep interviewing people. If I were him too, like I said, he has an assistant contract for next year. He could just, I mean, I hate saying it, like maybe go get an assistant position with somebody else.
Yeah.
He could. I mean, I don't know. It's like, I hate all the nonsense with the NHL drama and stuff. That's not how I operate. I don't like that.
That's bullshit.
I like my chaos on the ice. I don't like all this turmoil in the coaching and management ranks.
That's fucking bullshit. I'm calling you out on that. That's fucking bullshit.
I don't like the drama in the front offices and the coaching staff. I want it on the ice and player personnel only. That's how I want it, straight up. I'm locked up with Torts. You run your fucking tight ship. You sit on the bench until you're
that's all you talk about is all the front office bullshit.
Because I love that stuff, but I don't like the drama about it.
Oh my God, it's the same thing.
Nah, it's different. Well, except for Arizona, I don't like the fact they're taking private jets places left and right and they can't pay a tax bill. That annoys me. That's garbage. I think Tampa was like high on edibles or something. They're way faster this evening. They actually look like they're skating.
Oh.
Is this me?
Maybe it's the altitude.
I'm so sick of that.
It is a thing though.
I get it, but I'm also kind of like, I don't know.
It is a thing.
Because what do they say? It takes like what, 6 to 10 days for your body to fully adjust, right?
Yeah, it's like almost a week or something. Yeah.
Because we would have a better time than someone technically from Florida because we're above sea level.
No, you don't understand. It's not like.
Well, I'm saying no. But I'm saying our body's a little better adjusted already, and then we go there.
It doesn't work like that. We're only like a couple 100 feet. That ball arena in Denver is a mile high.
Yeah. Hence, Mile High City.
Yeah. So it's way different. Way different. I used to think, because like, I know like Danny plays in Hagerstown still, and you used to, and I used to play there years ago. I used to think that if you went up there, because it's like another 100 feet in elevation from here in Frederick, I was like, oh yeah, it's like the air's thinner. That's not how it works. That's not
it's just a meth cloud.
Come on.
Come on, man.
Come on. That's so wrong. Danny just dropping bombs tonight. Do you have Aaron's whiteboard? Because he's gone.
No, he took that with him in his cargo shorts.
Oh my.
Did he say he was storing some chicken nuggets in him or something?
He literally told us on Discord that he had chicken nuggets in one of the pockets of his cargo shorts in the airport / airplane.
Yeah. Hey Ron, give me some of your tots.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. The other one was when he was like, "Oh, I'm coming back through customs. I have an infant," and Danny sent like the Billy Zane thing from Titanic. He's like, I have a child. I have a child.
I'm all she has left.
Yeah, I'm all she has left. Dude, you know Billy Zane threw that girl in the water the second he got in that lifeboat.
Absolutely.
He was a scumbag.
Absolutely.
Also, speaking of that, are you telling me Rose didn't have any freaking space for on that big ass door? Get out of here, girl.
They had big ass
absolutely.
doors on that ship.
Yeah, it's some big
Come
ass
on.
custom
And
doors.
Leo at that time was a skinny dude. He could have fit on there.
Oh,
100%.
Billy
Yeah.
Zane could have traveled on too with the child.
Oh no, fuck that guy. He doesn't need to be on the door.
He's wearing a tux, sir. He deserved to be in a lifeboat. Like, come on. Like,
Oh, look at you elitist. Johnny's an elitist all of a sudden. Holy shit.
well, yeah, you saw Kathy Bates there. She was in a tank top eating a hot dog. Like, oh, the ship's going down. Oh, like, whatever. I'm elitist. Come on.
You just said the man with the tux should be allowed to get on a lifeboat.
Well, yeah.
That is some elitist 1%er shit.
Billy Zane needed to help the country. You know, he was probably gonna try and help the country profit off of World War I. He was doing some big things. Like, come on, you need to be around for that. Like, you needed guys like him in the infrastructure to help the economy.
Oh my god.
Elitist. I love that. I love that. You're an elitist.
Well, that wraps it up for this week. Thanks for downloading and listening to episode 97. If you made it this far, you're probably a fan of the show. And if you're a fan of the show, you can come hang out with us on our Discord server at beersinthelot.com/Discord. You can also check out more information about us on our website at beersinthelot.com. Either way, episodes come out every Wednesday. So we'll catch you next Wednesday for episode 98. See ya.